Let's get that off the screen. Okay. Hey guys, welcome back to Seller Sessions. Starting as part of the new season last week. You see the update to Main Image Monthly. This week, week 3 is monthly show, which is going to be called The Blueprint, which is myself, Oana, and of course Andrew Bell. So Andrew, welcome to the show. By the way, before we say anything, Oana will be joining us for the next show. So she's not here today, but she'll be here next month because she's on a flight as we speak. Andrew, how are we doing?
Good. How are you doing? Good to be here again, Danny.
Good. Excited. Start of a new season on Seller Sessions. So we're now doing these. We go back to live. We've still got some bits and pieces to work out, but we're going to be looking at science search and research stuff as well. Today we're going to break down a paper. You've already did an article on it. Do you want to give it a little bit of background?
Yeah, sure. So I found this a couple weeks ago, and I think it's just important here as a caveat to note, like, there's a difference between, an Amazon science paper and an Amazon patent. An Amazon science paper, especially if it's written more recently, predicts the future of e-commerce, whereas like a patent is, hey, this is technology we have now that we are either implementing or can implement.
Yeah,
That makes sense.
absolutely.
So this one has to do more with Rufus, I guess you could say, getting an agentic superpower, planning powers, if you will, to basically plan an entire, like, for example, if someone's going to say, hey, how do I decorate for this Halloween themed party? It's going to give you products at each step of the way of each recommendation that it gives you as an example. So yeah, really excited. I figured we go ahead and dive into there, and I figured I could just share my screen.
Yeah, do you want to just bring it up on the screen now and we'll take a look?
Can you see my screen?
I can indeed.
Okay, cool. So kind of what I said before, how science papers, show the future. And I gave an example. Our Rufus, patent is current implementation of Rufus, of course, right? Whereas this science paper breaks down a potential use of Rufus for the future. What I call the next step toward agentic shopping for Amazon.
Yeah.
As with anything in AI, what do you think? Like, I feel like the shift is probably coming sooner rather than later. It seems like when an Amazon science paper comes out, it waits a couple of years before it actually gets into a patent and then it's implemented on Amazon. Whereas recently what I'm seeing is like, okay, a science paper comes out and all of a sudden is rushed into a patent. And then all of a sudden you see it on the site.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking like, I'm seeing a lot of acceleration. What do you think?
Well, I think if we break down a little bit more background on the paper, what we're looking at is, like, you go with the problem first, right? So the problem they seem to be looking at is large language models. And within that is struggling to plan shopping scripts, right? And then recommend products due to semantic gap, right? So they've got a lack of benchmarking here. So what he's trying to address is there are 3 sub-tasks. What they're looking at is matching the product steps. Sure, there is coherence, and what was the third thing I was reading? Plausibility of applying this, right? So in their framework, what they were looking at is they're using Amazon review data. They're using GPT Mini, I think it was.
Yeah, 4.0 mini. Yeah,
4.0
they use
mini.
4.0 mini.
Yeah,
Yep.
and then basically they use BERT as well, but a sentence BERT is different structure.
Yeah.
And then what they're looking at to do is they're creating, I think it was something like 600K
Oh, yeah.
in
It
terms
was
of scripts.
it was a ton of scripts. Yeah.
So
I
it's a
have it
ton
up
of
here.
scripts. Let's say this,
600,000 scripts, 24 million intentions per product.
yeah. Okay, so that's based around the intent and the intentions of the product, but the problem that they're facing is hallucination, right? So this script here is effectively, they've used other benchmarks on other LLMs. I think they use Llama and something else. And what they were looking at is they're looking at these misunderstanding the product use. And I think it was something like 60 something percent, maybe 68%. I think I'm just doing this from memory. Now, I think without going too deep into it and sending the glass eye to sleep because it's patents, we need to make sure that it's worth an understanding on why is it beneficial to sellers, right? Because if you understand, like Andrew said, in terms of how papers work, the thing that they're looking to do, or what we have to think about, it still ends up pertaining, going back to things like Rufus, semantic, intent, what we're doing with getting Amazon to understand the product, right? And so effectively what it's saying is it's got missing information. And if you've got missing information and hallucination, you're not going to get the level of intent references, right? That you could do if you're understanding more of the taxonomy on the back end, like your attributes, and think about other than keywords, which I say catalog down versus keywords up, because you get the catalog down element right, keywords up, then we'll start to sing. But trying to get back on point it comes back to, even if this was just a paper and it's a test, but it's done on millions. I mean, we talk about what cracks me up, right? This is what makes me laugh. We talk about a proven strategy out of a single count, which is a moonshot. And then people talk about, yeah, it's just science. And then they've done it based on like 6 million of this, 600,000 of this. But the moral of the story of this, as we're discussing it, we've got to think about is, as things are shifting, what are the attributes outside of traditional optimization? How are we making insurance, like we do with Rufus, right? And making sure that the search parameters are understanding what the product is about. Now, what are some of your suggestions here? I've kind of give a bit more of a backline on the paper, on the structure of it. What is your take?
Yeah, I think like just kind of reiterating what you said, like kind of going down the main research contributions, I think is super important. First and foremost, like you've talked about, in like you said, like this isn't just some isolated like test in the sense of
Clownwell test. Yeah.
exactly. Yeah, like a few proven strategy, or like, oh, even if you have a couple hundred brands, that doesn't match the sheer magnitude of 2.4 million products in the comprehensive coverage.
Yeah.
And then 24 million purchase intentions coming out of those. That's 10 purchase intentions per product out of the 2.4 million, and then 605,000 scripts. That's insane, right? And so what it shows us here is this brand new benchmark from Amazon scientists, academic partners too, that shows you, like, after testing 20 language models, that can handle full shopping journeys. And this is, the thing is, this is labeled curriculum that rewards a model to be able to plan and purchase all in the same breath, right? And I think the main part of the paper is them proposing a novel framework that enables, and this is important, the scalable generation of product-enriched scripts by associating products with each step based on the semantic similarity between the actions and their purchase intentions. This brings you back to the patent, doesn't it, a little bit?
Yeah. Well, look, a lot of this stuff is overlap. Yeah.
Yeah.
So whilst this is a paper and it's peer reviewed, etc., etc., there's a lot of data that goes into that, and with a lot of papers, there are crossover for the same meaning. Yes, there's different technologies, they're taking different routes for testing and stuff. But these common themes, attributes, semantic similarity, right? What else? Inference. There's
purchase intentions. We hear about that
intention, because it's going towards intent, right? So we're getting less and less around keywords. Keywords still need some tuning, right, as part of the role in what it does. It's never necessarily going to go away. You have to have a foundation. I mean, when you break down your catalog and you look at your GL, your item type keyword, your product type, all of that has got to be in tune. So we're not saying at all in any shape that keywords are going away. That's not what we're saying. But with this shift, what happens is either more we've got more circumference of elements that we have to look at, right? Or the shift in percentage from keywords compared to say like 2017, 18, 19, there's been a bigger shift, right? And we're still sitting in the gap when it comes to things like Rufus and Clown World get, basically we hear every week about something, and then Rufus does more, and then he does this and he does that, and it gets embarrassing for him. But the reality is we've all got to be testing and trying these things out. But what can we extrapolate from this that is actually going to be useful? It's come down to what you got.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you're
Well,
tying it all back
first
to
first thing,
Rufus.
remember, I think it's important to see this like this would be an extension for Rufus first.
Yeah.
Right. This adds basically another brain superpower for him,
Yeah.
where he can now output a full step-by-step plan, not just answering a single question with products,
Yeah.
but also like a multi-step type of list. So if you're going to host a barbecue, there's a lot of aspects that go to hosting into barbecue, right? Let's say you've never hosted it before. Rufus does know that. And like, okay, whoa, he needs a grill to begin with. So he's like, okay, here's your grill. You need to have a grill. And then, you need to have different like decorations, right? You need to
Yeah.
have plates. It'll, eventually know and work with Alexa even, because Alexa will know, like, let's say if you're out of plates, because it's like due to be reordered. So, hey, you have to get your plates. And so there's going to be a lot of agentic like capabilities and functions here. But bottom line is you'll be able to ask Rufus a question, or let's say Alexa plus a question, and it's going to be able to bring in multiple products at different aspects. It's hard to do that. You guys can try to go even on ChatGPT and ask for, hey, I want you to help me host a barbecue. And at each step of the way, give me products. What it won't be able to do is at each step give you products. It'll only give you one holistic bar of shopping products. It's very hard to get that accurate. Sometimes you can get two, but most of the time you can't. So that's something right now that Amazon scientists are working on. And this is actually a first of its kind paper anywhere too. I don't think anyone realizes this. It's not just any kind of benchmark. It's the first ever e-com script benchmark in history of science papers for anything.
Yeah.
So it arms Rufus with a
I love
planning
the way you got all
superpower.
excited. Your eyes just peaked, and people go, "Yeah." So, do you know what I mean? But it is. I know what you're saying.
Yeah, absolutely. And so for
And,
Amazon
and by the way,
shoppers,
guys, Andrew hasn't even shown me this. So, like, I've been working off the paper. He sprung it on me yesterday and changed it twice, and now he's brought out the article. So, give us some more. Let's go down to the strategies, because this is what sellers are going to want to see, right?
yeah, absolutely. Well, this is be important. So for Amazon
Okay.
shoppers, it means fewer searches. Keep that in mind. For
Yeah.
sellers, richer exposure if their listings speak the language of customer intent. And so with strategies, it'll be a lot, honestly, of the same strategies we're doing right now for Rufus and for
Yeah.
Cosmo and et cetera. But I think the first thing is like being able to surface purchase intentions. So how do we weave the motivations of a customer inside our bullet points, A plus content? So instead of just running shoes, it's, oh, you're training for a marathon. Because if you're training for a marathon, you need running shoes. So if you do have running shoes, you need to be talking about like how these are good for training for a marathon and make your best case. Because Rufus is going to choose whatever the best case is. Rufus, the knowledge graphs, and other agents that help him decide products anyways,
Yeah.
are going to be able to choose you if you make a good case for why yours are the best for training for marathons. And like, of course, reviews and things will be taken into factor and all that. But, this is where you can like make up for, these are things you can do that you're in control of. Sometimes you're not in control of your reviews and such, right? And even your sales velocity, but you are in control of what you put on your product detail page.
Yeah.
So, surfacing purchase intentions. I'll give several examples down here. So like, here's an example of a oil diffuser, right? So examples would be create someone who's looking to create a calming spa-like atmosphere at home, someone looking to enhance relaxation during meditation or yoga, someone looking to improve indoor air quality naturally, people wanting to mask unwanted household odor. So you see all these things right here, and you can reverse engineer that to make sure that you're answering those things with a good case for why that's true.
Yeah.
So if someone wants to do this and put this into Rufus, for example, you need to be the answer to that. So it's like, how does my oil diffuser fit within each of these purchase intentions? And comprehensively writing your copy, your A plus content, and your video scripts, because this is really important too. Several patents coming out. I don't know if I showed you Shop the Show, but Amazon just recently released on Prime Video, and you can go on your Amazon app to do this. Just type in Shop the Show, and you can actually shop any show that you want, right? And they're working on technology to where when you're watching the show, you can literally like go to any scene, and those guys' glasses, you're like, hey, I want to get those, right? So imagine like also just being able to do that with your video. So vision language models are good enough to where it can see that in your video now as well. And it won't just be text, it'll be the actual like video of it. So maybe not just static images and such, but like also having rich, scenario driven, narrative oriented videos on your product detail pages too.
Yeah.
That highlight all the purchase intentions that might be necessary for this.
Cool. Any new toys? Now that you've done this, have you updated any of your custom GPTs?
I created one actually for this.
Do you want to bring it up?
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah.
All right. So let's do an example. What example product do you want to do, Danny?
Go on, I'll let you choose.
Okay.
Just do a beard oil.
Beard oil.
Just do a beard oil.
I literally was reading your mind there. Okay.
Yeah. Well, that's always the examples I use because it's just easy, isn't it? If we're doing stuff.
All right. For this one, let me just plug in the title and see what happens.
Okay. So I'll read it back for the benefit of the podcast. So you put in Viking Revolution sandalwood beard oil for men, right?
Mm-hmm.
Information: natural men's beard oil with argan oil and jojoba, designed to soften, strengthen, and moisturize beard. Acts as a beard conditioner for men. Scented with sandalwood, 1 pack. So goals. Do you want to run through these?
Yeah, and you're gonna have to tell me. I'm not like a big beard guy, but like I'm very, very curious to see if these are the goals.
When you get a bit older, your beard will grow a bit more. Don't worry, you're still a young lad.
Thank you. Thanks, I'm a young lad. Achieve a softer, healthier, more manageable beard using beard oil as a part of a daily grooming routine.
Yeah.
You prevent beard itch and flakiness by maintaining proper beard and skin hydration. Enhance beard appearance by reducing frizz and split ends while imparting a pleasant sandalwood scent. Integrated beard care regimen to support beard growth and minimize breakage. So think of these as like all things you can put within your bullet points that might not otherwise be in there, that you probably may have not thought of before, that you agree with, to put in there. So for each one, like let's say the goal is to achieve a softer, healthier, more manageable beard. It gives you step 1. So step 1 would be to wash your beard with a gentle shampoo. And then it asks, does there need to be a product needed? And it's yes. And so what would be the product keywords to show up for in order to achieve this step, right? So it would bring these things. So you'd have beard shampoo, facial cleanser, grooming brush. And so these were things like products that possibly would be brought up. And then you'd have another step, towel dry.
What, you mean complementary products to purchase around that, or like a gift set of some kind? Yeah?
Exactly. Yeah.
All right. So basically, do you know what we're looking at here? We're almost looking at Cosmo. There's the crossover. So we've covered semantic similarity. We've got here if we look at Cosmos, the common sense element of Cosmo, prevent itchy beard. So we're solving some problems as well. So once we look through this, do you understand what I'm saying? So we've got partly Rufus semantic similarity, right? But then that can underpin other parts of the matching model. And then you've got here what you're discussing in terms of how you approach to optimizing. There's a lot of crossover. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah?
Yeah, lots of crossover.
Yeah.
And I like that you said something about Cosmo, because it's interesting in this experiment. They didn't use Cosmo, although it was considered. the reason they used Cosmo is because they needed something also to be multimodal. So they used
Yeah.
two things. They used Folkscope, which is
Hmm.
like Cosmo, but not as advanced, right?
Yeah.
That's text based.
Mm.
And then they used Mind. Mind is a complete multimodal
Yeah.
understanding of everything, right? So those are two huge knowledge graphs that they actually put together.
Yeah.
So think of it as like a super Cosmo, I guess you can
Yeah.
say. And so they applied that to this, and so the level of like recommendations you get and such
Yeah.
are coming from a multimodal understanding of common sense, um,
Yeah.
like that common sense reasoning, right?
While you're doing that, just a quick plug. If you make sure you've got beta access, if you are a Data Dive user, you'll see some of the outputs we've been working on. NLP, we've done a Rufus and Cosmo, and we've also did a, what was the other one that we did? We did Rufus and Cosmo, and we done, oh yes, so we done an independent Cosmo with the 15 parts of the framework. Little plug there. So if you've got beta, go and check that out, or tap up Brandon to see if he can give you access. I think they've gone into public beta now. Quick digression. I'm over at Data Dive. Can we say where you are? Are we allowed to say?
Uh, I'm I'm working with someone. Yeah.
Yeah. Are we allowed to say it, or is it in confidence?
Are we live?
We are live. Yeah. Can we say where you're working, what software company that you're doing work for?
Um,
We don't have to say it. It doesn't matter.
no,
We're
it's
live, right?
okay. It's
Yeah.
okay.
Okay. We'll skip it. Let's get back to this then.
Okay. So we looked at that one. So you can see here every step of the way how that's
Yeah.
the case, right? So like they're using full scope and they're using mind together.
Mm.
And then within each of these steps, they're using, it'll say like, okay, this is the product that'd be needed, right? And so
Yeah.
it would kind of give you the whole thing. So if the goal is to get this, it's going to give you several products along the way that are necessary to get that, all in one answer. Imagine
Yeah.
that. That fits your needs.
Mm.
That's much different. That's much harder to do in terms of, and to do it at scale is the
Mm.
hardest thing to do. That's the
Yeah.
thing is like, of course, you'd rather have probably Claude 3.7 or whatever on every single answer within Rufus, like as a
Mm.
generative answer, right? But what's good here is like this is something that's not going to cost as much because they're using lightweight models, right? They're
Yeah.
not using huge models that, yes, would probably be best, but would not be scalable. And then you have the same thing here: prevent beard edge flakiness, maintaining proper beard and skin hydration. And then you have each step of the way for that. And then same thing here with each objective. And there's one more thing it provides too. It provides purchase intentions as well, different questions. That's something you can mess with. You can plug in any of your product information in there,
Mm-hmm.
and
So if you was to describe this in 2 to 3 sentences or less, someone accesses your custom GPT. Do you want to just write in the comments and then it's there then if you're making it public?
oh yeah,
Yeah.
if I had to say like what it was, it like basically mines down into the purchase intentions of the product that you have,
Mm-hmm.
and then finds out what the goals would be for that product,
Right.
and
Okay.
theoretically where your product would line up
Mm-hmm.
within those steps
Yeah.
of where to answer. So basically it answers like, how is your product fitting within the customer question, right? Their journey, their goal of like, let's say hosting a barbecue, like where does your product fit in there?
Yeah.
And it could be multiple goals. It's not just one goal your customer has. It's so many different ones that they have, right?
Cool. So What other toys you've been making at the moment?
Uh, a lot of toys.
Yeah. Do you want to
Yeah.
bring anything else up? I'm going to have a look to see if I can show you something. I sent it to you before. It's still an artifact. I was going to save it for next week's show because I got annoyed with image prompting. I didn't like it, so I built a tool that converts natural language, and then I did one for left brain and right brain users. I'll let me see if I can bring it up. I'm sure I've got it here somewhere. Here we go. Let me see if this is working. And I'll bring it up in. No, I might have to just do it directly in Claude in the artifact. Let me just bring in something that I can use as an example. I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll grab an image off Amazon. I'm going to bring it up on this screen. Let me just give.
Hmm.
What can I use as an example? I won't go into it today because I want to save it. I've got a show next week that me and Ritu are going to do on the 4th week. It's called Go With The Flow. So basically you can bring, people get invited on and show all the stuff that you've been building, whether N8N flows, it doesn't matter. But the idea is to encourage automation. Let me just bring an image in and we can have a look at this. All right, I'm going to bring in, I've not done this before, right? Because I didn't do it for the context of this. And I'm doing this absolutely on the fly. So we can talk through the prompts on this. Now, let me bring that back to the artifact. All right, just going to bring that back to the artifact, make sure it works. Downloads. Okay, let's see. I'm going to just do this, generate prompt, just see if it works. Clear this. I still got to debug a couple of bits, but it should effectively work. We'll give it a little go. Just need to make sure. No, it's getting stuck there. Ah, I know why. Wrong one. I moved it to number 2 because I built 2 of them. I built one with just image, but then I was having some hallucination when I was doing some of the programming for it. And where's number 2? Where's number 2? Do you want to talk, Andrew, about what you're building so there's no silence live on the show?
Yeah, no, I have something.
Go on, walk us through the audience to some. Ah, here we go, got it. Let me see if I can then bring that into the browser. It'd just be easier to flick around the tabs. Okay. Publish. Copy link.
All right.
Let me see. If
So,
we can do.
Danny, what's a random, give me a product name. It doesn't have to be beard oil at this point. It can be another product.
Hold on, I think I'm nearly ready for this. Right. Okay. We're gonna see if this is gonna work. Right. Let me come back here. Oh, sorry. Go on. Product name. Let's do. I don't know. Kitchen whisk.
Kitchen whisk.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, give me some like products, like some features.
Give you
of
some key features. Hold on. Let me just call up a kitchen whisk then. I could see you put me on the spot. Kitchen whisk because it might be different because I'm using maybe UK terminology for it. Oh no, it's got it here. It's let's have a look what we've got here. Why don't we do this? Power milk frother. If we do this, this is one of the Hall of Famers. I'll give you copy the link for you.
Okay.
Let me just throw it into a WhatsApp. All right. Take that, and then I can use that as a reference. Oh no, I did a bit of one. It's fine. All right. Taking some of the features off of this. So it's the Zule kitchen, the power milk frother. Some of the key things.
Okay.
You
Good.
can see in the images as well. It's pretty good in terms of what it is. More than just coffee, endless frothing possibilities. They're good. Their images are generally really good. Powered by Duracell. Ready to use right out the box. Do you know what? I won't even say it. More power, more froth. Go on.
All right. Let's just say we're doing this here.
Yeah.
This is generate inference pathways. This is on Poe.
Okay.
You know how much I love Poe.
Absolutely.
Here we go. So for example, with this, you have your primary features and inferences. So this is the same one I created for Rufus the Blueprint, if you remember, but
yeah.
it's like a different format and it's much neater and like aesthetically appealing.
Yeah.
So you see here that like, okay, it has a powerful motor. What's the primary inference to make from that?
Yeah.
Of, okay, a high speed operation. What does that do? That creates perfect foam texture in seconds, right? So as a user, you might say, okay, high speed operation, that's great. What does that even mean for me? What are the benefits? It's like, oh, that creates foam texture in seconds. Like that's like,
Yeah.
all right. So then you have secondary inferences of that where it, reduces preparation time for morning beverages. It handles various liquid consistencies from milk to thick creams, right? Because if it's fast and everything like that, it's like it has a high speed operation. That means it can handle both. It ensures consistency results every time.
Yeah.
And then you have a stainless steel construction. Obviously, the primary inference is that it's durable, and that ensures long-term reliability and performance.
Yeah.
And then you have the secondary inferences of it being stainless steel construction, is that it resists corrosion and staining from coffee and other beverages, and it maintains hygienic standards for food contact applications, stands up to regular daily use without deterioration. You have compact dimensions that make it a space-efficient design, fits easily in kitchen drawers and countertops. And then you have secondary inferences that enable comfortable handling and extended frothing sessions, allows for precise control when creating lattes. So it's really cool because it actually like digs in and mines down to things maybe you wouldn't have thought about before. They're like, oh yeah, that should be in the listing.
Yeah.
I mean, there's tons of them. And then you have the contextual connections, right? You have, all right, what if we put the main primary inferences of powerful motor and stainless construction? What does that provide? It provides commercial quality performance, both of those, right?
Yeah.
And that creates cafe style beverages without expensive equipment.
Right.
You see that? And then you ultimate convenience. And then it, gives why that's the case. And then it goes on here. And then it even builds personas based on that.
Right.
So based on these, powerful motor, stainless steel quality, what are the type of people that want to buy it for each of those?
Yeah.
You look at that. And then it gives you, on my other one anyways, it gives you like an ultimate buyer persona. But, you can copy all the inference pathways. You can put it like into your listing. You can put it into my GBT product listing SEO writer 3.0, and you can plug all that in there and it'll write a beautiful listing out of it that's optimized for inference. And I think that's a very underrated term that needs to be used more, is like when we're optimizing, we need to be optimizing for inference.
Yeah.
Right. And then on this, you can do, of course, A+ content as well. And then, SEO listing.
And you can share that. We can just add that to the show notes, yeah?
Oh, well, I actually wanted to show one more thing real quick. It's kind of cool.
Yeah, no, you can show more.
Yeah.
What we're doing now. How many apps you built this week?
I have up to 400 now.
Not this week though.
Not this week. No.
No, about 50 this week. I made about 4 over the weekend.
Yeah, that's very cool.
I just realised as I'm while you're doing that, I'm just setting it up in the background because it takes a while for the image to obviously render. But the moral of the story, what happened, why I built this tool. I was at a boxing show with my coach this weekend, and I was working with the scoring team, so I do all the rounds, all the timings and stuff. And I'd been putting some stuff together for his business, and he does posters, and I wanted him to have an easy way to prompt images, right? And I was fucking around. I'm like, he ain't gonna get this. It's gonna take too much headache for him. And basically, the situation is I decided to build it in such a way that it produced engineered prompts, so it would understand natural language. This is literally from a basic prompt. Let me see if I can bring this up. Now, I'll share my screen now and show you. And next week, when I do the show with Ritu, I'll go into it a lot better then. But so basically, the tool here is you got image prompts, okay, and then you got text prompts. And so this is all I did, right? Very short prompt, okay. And then if you look at it, there's not much there. If I'd just done that normal, right? You know this, and you don't describe it in the detail that you want. Then basically all what's going to happen is you're going to end up prompting your life away. Yeah. So you have to do what people suggest to do is you structure prompts and stuff. So what this does, this converts your request into professional AI instructions, copy and paste into ChatGPT to get the X results without so many of the errors. Bearing in mind, this is a very, very short prompt, right? Copied it over. Here it gives you quick examples that you can add, and you can see quality standards. So I put a quality gate into this. Subject preserved exactly, background changed only, no unwanted artifacts, clean edge masking. Yeah. And for a single prompt like that, this is the original image you can see here. So I wanted to move the background off it. He didn't do the other part, including putting it in the barbershop. But as you can see here, this isn't very high quality. But that single prompt is now produced it. The text is right, the texture, everything is right. It's upscaled it and it's removed the background in a single prompt. Now, I don't know about you, I don't do much prompting, but it annoyed me. So that's why I build tools, right? Stuff annoys me. So I'll get something like, I don't like N8N. So I built a tool that basically creates the flows for you. You tell it what you want, and then it works out all the flows. It gives you an artifact with breakdown of what is all being plugged in. And then it gives you a JSON file. You dump that into N8N, and then it gives you a description that you can hand off to someone if you're not that way inclined. And in there, there's a description in all the sticky notes of how to plug it all in. So I've been playing around with this. The other thing is text prompts. So what I've done here with the text prompts, now for neurodivergent people like me with ADHD or creative people, you're going to have different sets of categories and the way that you think and way you work. And then you've got left brain thinkers where these are slightly different. So the way that you choose your style here, it matches who you are, right? So if you've got ADHD, if you're more of a creative people, if you're more right brain, then you would use that output in order to devise what the prompt that you want. And then you'll select the category from here. So you've got creative and divergent. visual design, translation, data storytelling, marketing, no-code development. Then that way, what happens, you can output let's just reset this. You can then output this in anything that you want. Like you can have prompt libraries and stuff like that, but you don't always remember your prompts, right? You could have 1,000 prompts, but you're only going to remember so many of them. So a quick way of doing this is if you're on the fly and you just want to write it quickly in natural language, that does the replacement for it. Now, as I said, all I'd done was a very, very simple image here. Yeah, like description for it. It was like a few words. But what came back off of that was it pretty much easily stripped back the image. I could do a lot of things. I can put a background on it. Let me come off screen and I'll show you some examples of, stop sharing. I'll show you, I'll just see if I can find any examples where I was playing around with it. There's the ones just prompting. Yeah, is probably a good example. There's that one. This one. Oh, no, that's terrible. That one's fucking terrible faces. And the girls won't be happy if they did that. Okay. All right, so this one. So example, if I share the screen for this. This is one that came off the other day. Again, not perfect, right? So this is the boxing brand. These are the boots I wear as well. This one here, there's still need a bit of work, but just to give you an example, right? This is the prompt for this was basically, can you add a background to this boxing boots without changing any of the structure, and then put boxers in the background in the changing room working with their coach on the pads. Yeah. Again, that's a single prompt from that to that. What else have I got? Subject preservation. No, better not do that one. Here's another one who's still playing around with it. Again, natural language prompt. These are look, you got the background here. And then I wanted to change the profile from. There's some tweaking to do, but it's managed to still keep 90% or so of all of the styling. Again, single prompt. Yeah. So you're limited only by your imagination, because a lot of people keep telling me this nonsense about you've got to be a prompt engineer, you've got to do all these different things. And I'm like, no, you bend AI to your will, right? You find a way of getting what you want. Yeah. Because it depends on the person. If you're a left brain person, then you'll follow process, you'll do all these things correctly, and to you it's normal. But if you're someone like me, you, other people that we know, we bounce around, right? We start over here, we go over there, we never follow a straight line, and nor does creativity. So you bounce up and down. So I think what it is when I say you can literally build anything that you want, if you've got the desire to do it, you're curious and find out. And most of the things that I build, and this is why this show is with Ritu, I don't want you to think that NAN is the be all and end on, right? Because what we do, we get into these trends and we'll say, do everything in NAN. What if you don't want to do the 6-month learning curve? What if you don't want to look and plug in all APIs and stuff like that? It doesn't mean that you can't do it. Yeah. But the thing I built, I'm going to give it away anyway. I'll give that away so people can have it, right? And then it doesn't limit them. But my goal behind all of this stuff is there a formation of working with AI that's traditionally prompt engineering? Yes. But can you bend it to your will? Yes. What's more important than a prompt is asking the right questions. I ask the right questions to bend AI to work how I want. Yeah. My whole Claude projects, and it's all set up with a quality gate. It's all absolutely tailored exactly how I want it for my workflow. Yeah. Everything from the output of designs and stuff like that. So I want to encourage people that if you think AI is not for you, or you need to be advanced this and this reasoning model, it's all important, right? And I say this as a former engineer. Like when I was producing records, I made more records as a self-taught engineer and a record producer who got excited by sound than I did once I learned the principle of sound and I could make any sound I want, right? I suddenly lost the creativity because it wasn't exciting anymore, because I knew if I was going to make that bass line, I knew what LFO to use, I know what cut-off filter, I know what compressor to put it through. You lose that kind of thing. So I think where we are now as a community, you're only limited by your imagination. Agree?
Yeah, absolutely.
So what have you got coming up as well? What are you building? I know you build
Well,
lots of...
yeah, no, I was gonna share this real quick.
Go on, you show that. Let's
Yeah.
bring it up.
All right. So I'm really excited about this. So I'm not going to reveal what I have coming, but think of this except for just Amazon. So this is one I created where, first of all, I put in anti-plate. Okay, so this is basically you can compare LLMs.
Mm-hmm.
And what you'll be able to do is actually compare all LLMs that you want
Yeah.
from like an Amazon optimization perspective.
Mm-hmm.
So like, for example, you can look at all reasoning models. So like all at once here, I could say, give me a prompt, give me an example.
Go on. So let me just come back because I was just moving this over off the screen. You want me to do, so rephrase the question again. You'd like me...
Yeah, just give me an example of a prompt you'd like to see the difference of like with the reasoning models that I have here.
Okay, so let's do this. Can you use AI, right, if you're more of a right brain versus left brain and still get the right result if you ask the right questions? That's just random, right?
All right, can you use AI if you are more
Right brain versus left brain,
versus
but still get the output you want. And then let's see what they all say.
Yeah, I'm very curious too. All right. Oh, whoops. My bad.
So you're basically you're using Poe to combine all the models. It's got about 20, 30 models, isn't it?
Yeah,
Okay.
it's got. I chose the ones I
That
just
people
really
know.
ones that
Yeah,
were really
yeah.
expensive though, so users can actually try it. So this will say is Claude 3.7's O3 Mini, and then you have O3 Mini High is still thinking. There's O3, and then
There you go. Come back up. You can be wildly right brain and still bend AI to your will. It says it. That's the words I used earlier on, right?
Which one?
There was one. Where is it? You can effectively. One of these says absolutely. You can
Yeah.
bend
Okay.
AI
Absolutely,
to.
you can. So it's O3 Mini High.
Yeah. Yes, you can be widely right brain and still bend AI to your will. I'm a visually driven, metaphor loving creature myself. I use the language models and image generators every day, writing formal specs and crunching tables. The trick is to talk to the machine in the same sensory. Exactly. When I speak to Claude or when I'm using anything, it could be Manis or whatever, a lot of the time I'm doing voice clips and I go, Claude, do us a favour, change that bit there, mate. I do.
Oh yeah.
And then I use, you ready to deploy? And I'll just put LFG. Let's fucking go. And then it does it. So that's
Yeah.
why I'm saying to you, I know that people will try and put themselves into this grandiose position. Like there are people out there who go, yeah, I'm a prompt engineer, da 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 da.
Yeah.
I don't want that to put people off. And as this gets better, it gets easier, right? People said you can't use Claude as a no-code platform.
Yeah.
I
no
sat
kidding.
down with one of my engineers for 2 hours. I said, this is what I want to do. And he said, Dan, absolutely no chance can you do that, right? And I said, yes, we can. He said, no. He said, look, if anyone could do this, it's $1 billion idea, right? Because he misplaced what I said. It's $1 billion idea and it's not possible. In 2 hours, We got to the end. We're now deploying 85% of exactly what I said. Here was the problem. My communication to him as an engineer, right? He's an engineer, I'm not. So when I'm explaining these things, when I say to them, I don't want to fuck around with CSS. I just want to write prompts. I want it to do this. Claude's going to do it all. And he's like, no, Claude can't do it. And I said, I'll show you. So I typed in, Claude, give me the 10 innovative things that you can do, because I've already scraped Claude's website and also scraped YouTube, right? So I've got everything on Claude, everything it does. And it comes down to asking the right questions. And it showed me everything it could do. And literally it can do pretty much everything other than deployment, right? And so I said, okay, what we can do is £4 on GitHub. We can just deploy it all there. Dan, I've been using GitHub for 12 years, 7 days a week. I went, okay, Claude, tell me about GitHub, what you can't do, which can be replaced with GitHub. And he did it. And he said, you can do deployment, you can do this, store these libraries, it could be a two-way communication, So I said, now go build it. I said, the problem with the thing is, you thought I'm trying to build a SaaS company or a social network. I'm trying to build small apps that I need in the business, deploy those. I want to update landing pages instead of messing around with code and stuff. But I think you understand it's not a $1 billion idea or anything I'm asking. I want to use Claude as my no-code platform, the go-to for everything. That's my sketchpad, right? And then we'll plug in GitHub and one or two others, right? That's it. I don't want to be using a load of stuff. I want to get up in the morning, have an idea and deploy it. Yesterday, I had to work on something for Data Dive. I got up at 4 o'clock. It's 5 days work. I've done it in 7.5 hours. And I just about delivered it at 11:30. Yeah? Because I had to think of creative ways to get this done, because I had to catch up because I was running behind. That's what you should use AI for. Use it for your weaknesses. Get it to think for you, but always ask the right question. If you ask the right question, the doors will open. Right? You know I'm not big on AI in terms, look at you, you've got all your prompts. Look at this Spark thing, all the stuff he developed. Joe makes, 700-800 images and comes up with an amazing way of prompting for images. I looked at it and went, fuck that. I can't be arsed with all that. So I built a tool that was a bridge. I don't like accounting. So I got rid of 100 hours worth of bookkeeping by building tools that were bridge tools. I don't want to do coding. I built a bridge tool. I don't like N8N. I built a bridge tool. Do you understand what I'm saying? You're only limited by your imagination, and then you look to resources. So if you sit on LinkedIn and you have to be tortured on someone's main list because they say, put flow below, and then you have to get this flow, and then you still don't know how to work N8N, or it's not your type of platform to learn. It's not visual, If you're more technical, you might love N8N. Here's a simple thing. I built that thing, which I'll give away in the next couple of weeks. You then work out what you need as flow. Then you haven't got to spec it out for an engineer. You give him the JSON file, which has the sticky notes in there. Plug this in, plug this, do that. He doesn't need to be a good engineer. He could be a junior engineer, 2 or 3 years worth of experience. Plugging in APIs isn't fucking genius work, but it's technical work and it's a skill, but it's not high level, right? Go on to Upwork, pay someone $50. Better than that, automate the whole of your business, give him the flows, then you haven't got to write a spec, README file. Do you understand what I mean? He can then look at it and go, well, that's not what work, but he's going to make slight changes. He'll plug all that shit in, and then your business is automated. Job done. Don't try and learn everything that's not in your wheelhouse. Work out what you want, ask the right questions, hand off the shit you don't want to touch. And it's not expensive. If you give an engineer 10, 15 flows, you're going to pay no more than 400 or 500 quid. Then 10 or 15 flows will help automate a massive chunk of your business and buy back a lot of time ongoing. And that's what I'm going to show in over the next few weeks on these shows, that people can do this for themselves,
Yeah, absolutely.
So Oana will be back next week. I think she's down at HQ. She's over at Amazon. I didn't get invited. There's a few reasons behind that, because they've approached me about 8 times this year, and so yeah, I'm the black sheep of the family now. But yeah, everyone's over at HQ. But she'll be back here month. Anything you want to say before we go? Anything else we want
Oh,
to
we
cover?
got to give a little tease of our
Go on.
next drop.
Oh, the blueprint. Yeah, new blueprint coming. It's going to be radically different to Rufus, and it will be easier to consume. So when we did, I know it was me and Oana, we did the honeymoon period. That was harder for people to consume. We did Rufus. That was easier to consume. This one, next level. What we're doing on that, I'm really pleased with. And yeah, I think when people, when we drop it, they go, fucking hell. Because it's going to be like out of left field. But we're really excited about it because each time what we're trying to do is get more and more with the science stuff, more practical, more user cases and tests, and obviously more reach for people, that it can be brought into a way that they can understand and comprehend. Yeah, because I know people don't want to jump in papers. We love it, right? We'll sit down and I'll rip apart a paper in an hour.
Yeah.
An hour. Like,
Yeah.
I know exactly. It's like I run that off. Like, we had 40 minutes to go. I hadn't been working all day. I pulled it up, made my notes, and went live. And I went, it does this. This is the problem they're solving, because I've read 1,000 of them.
Yeah.
Or
yeah.
more. Yeah, it's like you. It's just the practice that you have and that you're interested in. But my goal, and is moving the ball forward. Hence the work I do at Data Dive as well. Is I want it to be really consumable for any seller to understand, so they don't feel like they're being left out of a group or it's too clever for them, because it's not, right? It's not.
Yeah, exactly.
It's about how do we present this information so everyone can understand it. What's the point of spending time doing all that work for 10 people or 100 people to read because they struggle with it? The goal's always been get this to the masses, get it on the mass scale for consumption. And I think the stuff that you've done on this blueprint, I'm excited about. I've just got to deliver on my end, and Oana gets involved. And yeah, I think we're about a month away of dropping on that.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Yeah. All right, let's wrap it here. We'll get you back next week. Thanks again for joining us, guys. Andrew, if people want to reach you, what's the best way?
Pager. If you have pagers, does anyone have pagers?
You got a pager. A drug
LinkedIn.
dealer.
LinkedIn's best.
A drug dealer with a pager. Yeah. Do you have a Nokia? You got like burner phones.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
LinkedIn's the best, of course.
Excellent. Big shout out to Oana. We'll see you again soon. Guys, take care. Thank you for joining us. I'll be here next week with Go With The Flow with Ritu. Yeah, hopefully you'll like the new format. Still tweaking it, but it will get bigger and better each time. Take care of yourself and your family. Much love. And I'll see you again next week.